How's everyone doing today? I've been coughing and coughing and coughing all day. Can't seem to clear my throat, folks. I'm running a little rough with everything right now because I've been out helping my brother and stuff like that around the house, and then come in and fix some supper and stuff. And so far, I think it's just me and my sister who decided that it was, yeah, worth eating. I thought it was pretty good. It's got some corn and some greens and some meats and stuff. Hamburger meat. It had some sauce in it. I could have put in some cheeses and stuff in it. I didn't, but they don't really like cheese very much here. So I have to do the basic Mudlick, the Mudlick food. Yeah, that's what people like. You know, cornbread and pinto beans, and we call them soup beans around here. Pinto beans and an occasional pork chop, and the comfort foods you find in the valleys of eastern Kentucky, and hollers they're called. If you're not familiar with this place here. And I'm stunned. I'm looking at something from Kim Paxton of Texas, Attorney General of Texas. It's over on the Twitter feed. Posted about 6 hours ago. Oh my God. There have been some idiotic things taking place in this country lately, and the thing that is so baffling to me is the hypocrisy that you see from things like The Five. If anybody on The Five is watching this, or you watch it later, Greg or Jesse or Jessica Tarlov or Dana Perino, and I don't know who else was on there today. They had somebody else on the show. So the hypocrisy is astounding. I don't see how they don't see it. Why don't they see the hypocrisy of what they're saying? They're going around saying, here we are, we got people on the left dehumanizing our ICE agents and our ICE officers, and it puts a bullseye on them, and it makes life miserable for them. They get doxxed and get called out, and everybody makes a big deal out of it, and some have been threatened, and we've had people killed, and people shot at and stabbed at and all kinds of stuff like that. We've got all of that stuff going on, and you got Greg Gutfield and The Five out here going, we need to stop dehumanizing our ICE agents and police officers and people like that. And it's baffling to me. There's no logical consistency in anything that they have been saying. I pointed out to them, and they don't give a hoot what I have to say. I pointed out to them, and I say, look, for years now, you've been dehumanizing trans people in America. You've been painting a bullseye on their backs. You're threatening to throw them into insane asylums and lock them away and get them away. You're calling them the most dangerous group in America when no numbers at all support any of that. But you got Fox, who is Fox, and all the different pontificators and all the different shows, from Will Cain all the way through Laura Ingraham and everybody else, Jesse Waters' show, and it's his world. Yeah, I do watch a lot of this stuff. It's entertaining at the very least. But the hypocrisy by saying that the comments being made by the left dehumanize our ICE agents, putting a bullseye on them, and at the same time not realizing that the hypocrisy that you're saying, the logical inconsistencies that are being said by this group of people over there on the Fox News channels, you're dehumanizing a whole subset of people here in this country. You blame transgender Americans for every ill in the country. You know who else used to blame gay people for everything? Pat Robertson. He thought all those hurricanes we had coming up on the Gulf Coast down there, blamed it on the fact that we allowed gay people to get married or got gay people to exist openly in our country. It was God's revenge. There's some dumb people out there. Dum, 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 dum. Yes, there are. There really are. But here we have Fox News, who says they're fair and balanced, and they bring Jessica Tarlov on. And Jessica, I don't know how Jessica puts up with that bunch of idiots over there. They run over her. They bully her. She can't get a word in sideways without them jumping all over everything she says. They double team her from all kinds of different directions. Have no respect for her opinions or views whatsoever. She's one heck of a strong person to be able to deal with Greg, who stares at her in the face all the time, says platitudes out of one side of his mouth, and then stabs her in the back out of the other. And then rolls over top of everything she says, just blatantly just goes after everything she says. If you're fair and balanced, shut the hell up and listen. But no, they can't do that. They've got to get a word in edgewise on top of what she's saying. Greg, Jesse. Dana's a little more respectful. Thank God for that. Got some decent people over there. And the other person that was on there today, I know his name, but I can't tell you what it is right off the bat. So, there's been a lot of crap going on. And here, when I watch these shows, and I fully expect that they're going to be hypocritical on everything. They don't remember what they said last week. They got the news, they got the sources right there in front of them. They got all the information right there in front of them. And they don't remember that last week they were attacking trans people and acknowledging they wanted to lock them away. Hee hee ha ha. Hee hee ha ha. Because they're the ones who are being violent, they say, which is absolute BS. If they'd take a moment to ask Grok, they're over here posting on X all the time, on Twitter, all the time. Go over just to ask your AI system that your friend Elon Musk created and supports and encourages people to use. Go over and ask that. Are trans people, just ask, go at Grok, G-R-O-K. Are trans people the most violent group of people in the country? The immediate response will be no. And if I paraphrase it slightly, it'll be not only no, but hell no. And now I'm reading this thing from Ken Paxton over here on my other monitor. And it's just baffling to me. Oh my God, where did this stuff come from? Why? Well, I know why. I know why. I know what's behind all of this. If they can create a narrative that says trans people and leftist people and everything that they do is a threat to decent human society, if they can dehumanize the entire left and everything the left believes in, which is what Ken is doing, and which is what the political class do, and the pontificators and all the people over there on Fox News, that's what they're doing. They're just feeding this little narrative that goes along about calling the left people the most violent ones out there. In reality, no, that's not the case. Just go ask. Well, it's going to be hard to ask anymore because you have an administration that doesn't care about data, doesn't care about gathering real data. So they're shutting things. They won't ask certain questions because, we don't want to know the answer to that. It may show that it may prove one of these points that we've been saying is all woke, when in fact it's not woke, but it's reality. Okay. So they're shutting down the use of certain terms and words and things and all of that kind of feed off of all of this and underpins any rational thinking and the conversation about it, leaving it open for a political just flood of bullshit. I was in a MOVE class a couple of weeks ago. MOVE is a weight loss program with the VA, okay? And it's online. I do it through my monitors, my setup right here. And the young lady who is presenting it from the Herschel Woody Williams VA Medical Facility in Huntington, West Virginia, which is where I get my care. This young lady who is running the MOVE program, going through all of this stuff about the different types of foods and things we need to stay away from and to watch closely and understand better. So rattled off talking about fats and good fats and those that are the bad fats, and then the trans fats. She didn't even mention the trans fats. You know why? It was on the list. It was right there on the screen. It was on the screen. So she read off all these different types of fats that you have to be concerned about. And when it got down to that one that said trans fats beside it, she skipped right over that word. She skipped over it. Did not say the first thing about trans fats. So after she finished her little spiel, I said, I have one question back there on that page where we were talking about fats and some of the good ones and the bad ones and stuff we need to watch out for. I said, so why did you not say trans fats? Read right over it, word before and word after. You read right over that one in that list and didn't say trans fats. Why? Or she said, well, they showed that it's not necessarily a big deal anymore. And all I can do is shake my head. I'm going, really? Okay, yeah, you're afraid of losing your job because you're using a word that could be construed as being woke. So people are afraid to say things and tell the truth about things. We've been so coddled and so beat over the head with people going, don't use this word trans, don't do any kind of research that studies them, do nothing at all, don't study anything that has to do with social determinants of health. And I got into that conversation with a Humana nurse about my mom's healthcare today too. She said, the Humana nurse was going, I got to ask some questions that are going to sound a little bit strange. They're like the social determinants of health. And I said, oh, wait a minute. Be careful. Be really careful. There are people out there who will come after you for using those terms because they don't think those are appropriate terms to be using anymore. As if healthcare doesn't have a social component, a social determinant, an economic determinant, a locational determinant. We know they do. It's been studied for a long time. We know they do. But here's the thing. They just, in this administration, they just don't care about all of that. They want it to disappear. They want everybody to be assumed to be identical in their healthcare, in their lives, in the way they present and how they do everything. It's going to be based totally on colorblindness and meritocracy. You know how full of shit that is? I could show you some highly qualified people, better than anyone you've got out there. In a lot of these places, in the military, in the VA, across the federal government, but they no longer work for the federal government. Why? The only qualification that the people who made the determination to kick them out was not that they were meritoriously in that position, but that they are trans. You want to back up and tell a little bit about that? I'll tell you just a little bit about the history of all of that. You think this is something new? You think trans is new? You think that this is something that we haven't had to deal with in this country before? I bet many of you right now can't tell me the first thing about this man by the name of Albert Cashier. I bet you can't tell me the first thing about who Alan Turing is. I bet many of you have no freaking idea about Alan Turing. If you've heard of him, it's been cursory. If somebody else mentioned it, you never studied this. You never looked at it. You weren't aware of who he is and what his contribution was to winning World War II as a gay man. Yeah, a gay man. He broke the Enigma code. He is the father of computer science that gives you these computers we have now and the software that runs them. But he was gay. So whenever the uproar started over homosexuality and it got added into the Bible as a particular phrase in 1946, 47, it wasn't there before. It was added in because people were feeling a certain way back then. Got added in, and guess what happened? Alan Turing got arrested. He was a UK citizen. Got arrested for being gay. They gave him two choices, prison or castration and electroshock therapy. He figured he might be able to survive the electroshock therapy. He took that. He died a couple years later. Electroshock therapy, because that's what these people want to do now. And I'm not being hyperbolic about it either. You got seaman apprentice Ronnie Jackson and his shadow Nancy Mace, who is a weather vane, just wherever the weather goes, that's where she goes. She was a supporter of trans people here and not over here now. It just doesn't benefit her politically. So she's just a weather vane, just an idiot. Ronnie Jackson, he is who he is because of his association with Mr. Donald Trump. Got his admiral star back, lower half. Had been demoted to captain because he was drunk all the time and was giving prescriptions out left and right to people who didn't really need them. You know, crazy shit. I don't think he deserves admiralty. I don't think he deserves even the captaincy that he had. I think that he barely qualifies as a seaman apprentice, all the way down there to E1. He sure as hell doesn't belong up there at 07. But he's the one putting out a lot of this stuff lately. Round them up, round them up, round them up. They're violent. We got to get them off the street. We got to stop them from talking. We can't let them say any word, have any kind of opinion about anything, and we certainly can't let them influence all of these other people who are listening into them. So here's what I've been saying: Ronnie and Nancy and Cash Patel and Dan Bongino and Tom Holman and Pam Bondi and anyone else that you want to bring in, just get into your nearest Black Hawk helicopter and come over here on the Mudlick Road in Pike County, Kentucky, on Hardy, right off Hardy. Just come on over. We'll sit out on the front porch and we'll drink some sweet tea, and we'll carry on a conversation, and it'll be very respectful. I won't sick the pigs on you or anything like that. We don't have any pigs, by the way, but I won't sick the pigs on you or anything like that. But I definitely would love to have a conversation. We could sit around on a Saturday night, and there are a few people I know who actually have some shine. Not shoe shine, the corn mash kind of shine. So, yeah, I mean, we could actually do things like that and sit around here and roast some marshmallows and have good conversation. And I'm no doubt by the end of the evening, I will have said, bless your heart about 1 billion times. Bless your little hearts. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just out here rocking back and forth on the front porch of my brother's home while we're looking at a 1-lane road that goes directly across to a creek and up a mountain. I mean, the vertical view, there's no sky when you're sitting on that porch and looking up to the trees in the mountains, because all you see are trees. And it just goes up and up. Up and back is the same way. Back is the same way. So they're more than welcome to come up in here and have a conversation. I am, satirically at least, I'm tilting against windmills. I know that. I know it. There are people out there with more influence, more power, have all kinds of things going on for them. They have the privileged card and they're playing it quite well. And, that's just the way it is. The luck of the draw, I suppose, whatever it might be. But, I am one of those out of Mudlick Road trans terrorists from Eastern Kentucky. And Ken Paxton, you can hear me clicking on this thing. I'm getting ready to share this page over here. I have not read the whole document yet. So we're going to go take a look at Twitter. Are you ready? Let me share the screen because it is so much fun over here. Oh, here, wait, before I do that, let me cancel this because I want you to see this image. Not allowed. Oh, yeah, it's allowed. Unable to share screen. Yeah, I said it's out loud. Anyway, so I did this through an AI creation thing earlier today. I've been working on it for a while. There's actually a video associated with this too. But right now, just think of that as me. I asked him to put a red lipstick on and have a low cut top, V top, because, I know how powerful cleavage can be. Yeah, I do. I know it wrecks many a men's lives. When I walk through Walmart, I've got a low cut top on, and they're with their wives or their significant other person, and they're walking around. They take this subtle step back. It's just a subtle step back to the back, and the wife just thinks they're just slowing down, looking around and all that. But what they're actually doing is they're staring at me. And I keep going. Let me get this up here. I keep doing this. I say, come on, my eye's up here. Come on. Do I need to tell your wife that you're staring at me? One man tried this thing in a double quick gas station a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, something like that. I forget the exact date. But I walked through that door and, I had a nice dress on, and it was just me. It was just being me. I've got my biological attributes are, well endowed. I know how to use them. I know exactly how this stuff works. Come on, don't we, guys? And don't we, gals? Ladies, we know how to drive men crazy, don't we? We know it. I know it. Oh my God, do I ever? That poor guy was staring me up and down, and I thought he was going to fall on the floor. As a matter of fact, he motioned for me, just, very light little gentle motion for me to go ahead and get in front of him to go to checkout line. And that when a man does that to a woman, the thought that's going through the woman's head is, I don't know if I really want to get in front of you because you're going to be giving me the up and down from the backside too. And I'm like, okay. So I reluctantly got in front, and then thank God a line opened up on another register, and he went over there, but he's still staring at me. So what did I do? Right here in Appalachia and at the Walmart in South Williamson, Kentucky. That's named for my family. You know what I did? I walked over to him and I grabbed his hand and I did what my dad taught us to do. If you're going to hug somebody, if you're going to give somebody a handshake, let them know you're there. I did. I let the guy know I'm there, and I pulled him real close and I said, "Do we know each other? I get the feeling that maybe we know each other from somewhere." I'm using this voice too. I'm going, "So where is it? Where did we meet anyway?" And he goes, I looked at this hat and I saw his hat. It had 45 on it. And I go, I love your hat too, by the way. I wouldn't wear it. I don't think it's worth crap, but I love the fact that you actually like this hat and things. And he said, "We didn't elect a preacher." And I'm going, "Really?" Everybody around us was stunned at that reaction. And I'm thinking, where the hell did that come from? Anyway, and so he starts pulling up towards the cash register of the cashier, and he goes, "You about crushed my hand." He's looking at me. I'm going, "Sorry." It's fun around here in the hills, folks. I walk into Walmart and I give the greeters hugs and talk to them. And most of the greeters, by the way, are veterans, or at least associated with the local schools, like coaches from local schools and stuff back when I was here. We all know each other, or at least their families. And so they always get a kick out of me coming through because I have fun with them and they have fun with me. And I just carry on with everybody, just like what I'm doing right now. This is a familiar conversation for me right here, all the time. So when I have people like Ken Paxton over here doing things like this, let me see if I can share this screen now. Go up here to that one. I want to share that screen. There you go, folks. And it says, Cassandra Williamson is hosting out of Mudlick Road Trans-Terrorist Training Day 2. There's a couple of people over here on this side who actually are watching that, apparently. Well, there's two things going on over there. Anyway, so this is what Ken Paxton sent out about 6 hours ago. Let me update the page and let's make sure what he's doing here. Come on and load back up. Now look at this. Look at this. This is asinine crazy. But this is par for the course. What they're doing is they are dehumanizing people who don't think like them, love like them, believe like them, worship like them, or anything at all. They want them all threatened and their lives turned upside down because they think all the violence is coming from the left. But you have people over here on the other side who are standing in the middle of some of these, events that are happening in the country. Let me get this phone for a second. Could be something. Okay, yeah, hold on. Hi, welcome to the show. What can I do for you? As a matter of fact, I am live, and everybody heard me just say that. So, what time tomorrow you want to come by for PT?
Probably between like 1:30 and 2.
Okay, sounds good. I'll see you then. Oh, and by the way, I do appreciate my first time listeners and people coming on the show. No. Bye. Yeah, I've been saying that a lot lately here. First time caller, long time listener. Nori, what was that guy's name? Nori Noonan or something like that. Did that midnight show. It was all about aliens and stupid shit and conspiracy theories. I just thought it was funny. Yeah. So if you do call here, you're likely to have a little blast whenever I'm talking with you about it. Anyway, so right now, let's take a look at what Ken Paxton has to say, folks. You ready? You ready? Here we go. Let me increase the size just slightly. Where are we? Got it about 175%. That's 200%. Hopefully you can read it better over here on my streaming platform. Okay. Breaking. This was when did he send that out? Oh, He sent that out this morning at 11:19 a.m. Okay, got 1.3 million views. Okay, Ken. This is another idiotic person who wants to blame everybody else for his problems. He'll blame trans people. He'll blame gay people. He'll blame Muslims and anyone who is not white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, and Christian. That's who he blames. That's where he comes from. All right. Breaking. I am launching an undercover operations to infiltrate and uproot leftist terror cells in Texas. Look, who wants to help me start up a leftist terror cell down in Texas? Do I have any friends watching down there in Texas right now? Anybody? Let me see if I can tag some people and find out, because I do want to start up one down there. I want to give this man pure hell, because what he's doing is dumb. Dumb, 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 dumb. And all of my friends down in Texas, don't leave the state. Stand there and do this. Stand right there and do that. Go. We're doing it. I serve for all Americans. Yep. Oh my God. That'd be so much fun, wouldn't it? Let's go back over to here. All right. So I want to send that out to see. Texas. Let me go. Texas. Well, let's go Texas Gov. Let's see what's a good thing. Oh, I'm gonna reply to Ken Paxton, Texas Gov. Oh, there we go. It's the official website for Texas. How do I start a leftist trans terror network, trans terror organization in your state? Do I need to sign up? Person in your state. Do I sign up with you? Do I sign up with you? Can you take my information and help me find some people who will, let me see. Can you take my information and connect me with like-minded people, minded Americans in Texas? All the best. Be polite about it. All the best. Big hugs from Kentucky. Cassandra. I'm going to put my email address on here so you can reach out to him if he wants to. Yeah, Cassandra Williamson. You have to get right in their faces with these things sometimes, but be prepared to be a little humorous about it and let them know that you're doing this because they're just dumb. This is your reaction to it. Okay, I put too many S's in my name, then it goes S. Okay. And I put my email address down here. It's admin. If anybody else wants to reach out to me, you can. It's admin at Cassandra. Where's my screen? Oh. Cassandra-llc.com. My business is a for-profit business. It's a limited liability corporation licensed in the state of Kentucky. And here's the website for it. Cassandra-llc.com. And then we'll give him a little image that I want them to see. Okay, something for them to think about. You ready? Let me get something together right here. It's been Cassandra Street Art. That's a little video AI generated. And it'll take a second to load up. When it does, it's at 0%. It's really short. It's only 5 seconds long from one of those image generation systems I've got here. So I pay a little extra for those things because it's actually fun to do these things. But Ken Paxton, can I give you a big hug, brother? I used to live down in Texas. I was actually a Republican Party chairperson for a small county just north of Austin, north by several counties, but actually north of Tarrant County. You know where Tarrant County is? Fort Worth. All right, so I'm going to reply to that, and then we're going to go back and let's take a look at this thing. What was he actually saying? Okay, here we go. Here's what he wrote today, October the 7th of 2025, from the TexasAttorneyGeneral.gov. There's his website too. But don't be the person who goes over there and just hounds the crap out of them. Leave that up to me. And they've got their communications at the press office over here too. That it's at, communications at oag.texas.gov. Don't tell anybody I told this to you, shared this information with you, even though they put it on Twitter. But and for God's sake, don't anybody go out and do anything rash like emailing the crap out of these people and bugging the hell out of them because of their stupidity. We all ought to be sending them things like this video clip that I just put in there down here at the bottom. This one here. This is the little video clip. This way it protects you a little bit too, but watch. Speak truth to power. Let's go over again. Be proud of everything that makes you who you are. Claim it. It's your truth. Cassandra-LLC.com. I love that image. Notice what it says right here. It says, I served for all Americans. The all is by the lady in the white top. Come on, Ken. Can you also share this with Barbie Doll up there and Barbie Doll, what's her name? Christy Nome, Pam Bondi, Laura Loomer, and Libs of TikTok. What is her name? Raya Rychek or something? K Rychek? I get her name mixed up all the time. She's just a Libs of TikTok person. But anyway, so that's what we got there. So let's go back up and look at this official document authorizing infiltration. It is time for us to infiltrate Texas at the State House, folks. Do it politely, do it with respect. Don't do violence. I will call you out if there's people in this community doing violence. And I do want to say one thing. This kind of just occurred to me off the top of my head. But what's the name of that person over there running for AG in the state of Virginia right now? Jones, last name Jones, Democrat, running against a Republican. I would hope that a Democrat would win the election, but Jones needs to step aside. The stuff that he said about his opponent or about other people and their families is wrong. So that man needs to step aside. And regardless of whether or not the Republican wins in this or not, it's the moral and right thing to do for Mr. Jones to step down and get out of the race, because he said some horrific things. He needs to get out of the race. And I don't care whether a Republican picks up the spot or not. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And you notice I will call out Democrats. I do call out Republicans. I do call out liberals and conservatives. And I especially call out fascists like Matt Walsh. And you're going, Matt Walsh? Who's Matt Walsh? You know, the influencer over there on the right side. You know that he actually is so self-aware that he actually uses the words to define himself that is correct. He calls himself a theocratic fascist. The rest of these people out here who are doing those things don't have Matt Walsh's balls, folks. Matt's honest about who he is. We need to be honest about who we are too. So let me go back here to this, and we'll jump into the honesty thing in just a second. Attorney General Ken Paxton launches undercover operations to infiltrate and uproot leftist terror cells in Texas after increased political violence. There are no numbers that support that claim. None. But it doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't matter? Two reasons. One is they control the data now. They can strip out any bit of information they want or add things in that they like, and they are doing it. They're manipulating the data. I can't trust information, the data. I can't trust the analysis of that data coming from this government, this today, because they've infiltrated with all of their wannabe scientists or wannabe doctors, their wannabe idiotic bunch of people, all the way from Health and Human Services to CDC to NIH and I'm getting concerned about NASA. It's supposed to be an organization dedicated to science and the pursuit of knowledge. But it's getting to be pretty horrendous out there. I just can't trust them to do anything that actually gathers real data and uses it in a way that does not twist the facts or twist the outcomes to make and match an outcome they want, which is what they're doing. So when Ken goes around saying increased political violence, that's bullshit. Not happening. Okay. Austin, in response to the political assassination of national hero Charlie Kirk, and that was a disgrace. Not only a disgrace, it was horrific. An American lost his life because of what he believes in. The person who did this deserves everything legally possible to be applied against him for having done that. Charlie has had a beautiful family, a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, mom, and to be assassinated on the public stage because of his views. I was getting ready to say that just goes against everything America stands for, but we've been doing stuff like that, I don't know, since Hamilton was shot by Aaron Burr. I'll get mad and get out of shape over stuff, and they go around shooting each other up. And the Whiskey Rebellion, they were rebelling against taxes on whiskey and stuff like that in Western New York. And Washington said, nope, let's send out there and get the federal troops out there to put them down. So Washington sent out 12,000 federal troops led by Alexander Hamilton to put down the Whiskey Rebellion. The person who led it was a Revolutionary War officer. We come by this stuff normally, folks, but it's not going to change that. But this right here is just pure idiocy, okay? Okay. Leftist political terrorism is a clear and present danger. Corrupted ideologies like transgenderism and Antifa are a cancer to our culture and unleash their deranged and drugged up foot soldiers American people. I've not read this at all today. This is my first time going through this and reading it. How many people are surprised that he mentions trans people right at the very beginning? I'm not. They've been dehumanizing trans Americans for decades, folks. Over a century, really. You know who the first, well, not the first, but one of the most prominent or well-known, let's put it that way, at least in annals of history and Civil War history, was a soldier by the name of Albert Cashier, who fought in at least 40 different skirmishes and battles in the Civil War as a Union soldier. Came to America as a she about a year prior to that, decided, and I don't know the exact things that took place in his mind to do this, but obviously he decided that, hey, we're here, and the way to move forward in this world is to be a white man in America, because those people get things done and they can do things, they got a lot of access to things. So Albert became Albert, joined the army, captured by the Confederates, escaped from the Confederates, went back to his unit, served honorably up until the end of the war, got a pension. After the war, the U.S. Army granted him a pension for his honorable service in the military. Something happened, and he ended up in a hospital in about 1910, and the doctor discovered that Albert had female anatomy. What did the doctor do? Well, what any rational, reasonable doctor who is supposed to be a person taking care of a patient would do, right? The very first thing, what did he do? Well, he let the army know that Albert, who was receiving a pension, wasn't really a male. Even though Albert had lived as a male for at least 60 years. 50 years, let me put it that way. 50 years. But he let the army know, and guess what the army did? That couldn't be. We don't do that for women. Women don't serve in the military and combat positions at all. So here we're going to take that. That can't be. We're going to take that pension away from that person. They must have got it in a dishonorable way. They cheated the system or something. No, they didn't. They served. They served with meritocracy. They served regardless of their sex or their gender or any of those things. They served, did so honorably, did their job, did it well. Their company mates came to his defense, persuaded the army to reinstate the pension. The army did. But the doctor also went one step further and decided that Albert needed a little help understanding that he was a she. So they institutionalized Albert, forced Albert to wear dresses for the rest of his life until he died in an insane asylum. His buddies all came together and made sure that he was buried with full honors in his military uniform when he passed away. He was part of the an Illinois regiment. I bet you there's not a one of you, or too many of you anyway, who have heard the story of Albert Cashier. We've been around a while, Ken. Leftist political terrorism is a clear and present danger. Corrupting ideologies in sentence 2 in the second paragraph, like transgenderism. And I want to tell you, there is no such thing as an ideology that is called transgender ideology or transgenderism. And I wish whoever had come up with that term had not done so, because they did a world of damage to the entire group of Americans called transgender Americans. They are the ones who brought this stuff to the head against all of us, because they made people think that who we are was a matter of choice, that you could decide to be transgender, just like you can decide to be a Republican or an asshole or a conservative or a liberal or whatever else, or you could decide to be a Christian or a Muslim or Jewish. Those things can be decided upon. Being trans is not. As a matter of fact, being trans opens the door up for you to be any of those other things too. There are trans people who are Jewish. There are trans people who are Muslim. There are trans people who are Christian. There are trans people in every culture on this planet and have been there from the moment we stepped out of the trees and started walking upright. Whether that was in East Africa or wherever, there's a lot of debate about origin stories at this point. But so that's what Ken is doing in the second paragraph right there, folks. He is trying to put a bullseye and dehumanize a whole group of people, blaming them for things that are not their problem. Yes, there have been a few over the past several months who have done stupid crap. And if I had found out, if I knew anything about who they were, that they were thinking about doing stuff like that, those people and I would have had some serious conversations. They would have had an encounter with this person. So whenever I say that our community had better stay out of all of these things where there's violence, throwing rocks at ice, or doing any of those things, or using knives like some idiot did out in Portland, trans person. You're going out and doing crazy. I've said this for years. You go out and do crazy stuff, you will be picked up and used as a poster child for everything that ills the entire community, even though the number of people over a 20-year span of time is still less than 20 out of 1.5 million. 1.5 million. You got less than 20 over 20 years, roughly. You can ask Grok to kind of identify that for you. Grok knows. Grok has access to information you'll never even bother to look at. All right, so let's go on down. I haven't even made it out of the second paragraph and the second sentence of the second paragraph. Okay. Corrupt ideologies like transgenderism and Antifa are a cancer in our culture and have unleashed their deranged and drugged up foot soldiers on the American people, said Attorney General Paxton. The martyrdom of Charlie Kirk marks a turning point in America. This stuff Himmler would be extremely proud of what America has become today. Paul Joseph Goebbels would be extremely proud of what America has become today. This is what they always wanted for America. That's what they wanted. That's what Hitler wanted. And if you think I'm being hyperbolic by equating what's going on today with what was happening in Nazi Germany, well, take a look at how it evolved from the beginning. After World War I, just look carefully at how this evolved to become the fascism that took over an entire population and persuaded them that the Jewish people were the cause of all their ills, that the trans and gays and lesbians who had been rounded up before they started going after the gays, after the Jewish people, and labeled them with a pink triangle and took them all the way to institutions. They were the first ones. They were the first ones under attack. Ken doesn't know history and will tell you that he's not being fascist when he does this. And no, they're not. It's a process. It is a process of moving in that direction, and the steps have been sequential, one right after another. All right, let's go. And to that end, I have directed my office to continue its efforts to identify, investigate, and infiltrate these leftist terror cells. So I'm looking to create a leftist terror cell down in Texas. I've got cousins, I got family down in there. How do I go about creating a leftist terror cell in Texas? Anybody? I know I can pull it off. I lived in Texas. Yeah, I lived in a county one time where there were 50,000 cows and 35,000 people. And it was also one of those counties where during the Civil War, when they had to vote on whether or not Texas would join the Union or the Confederacy, this county was one of 2 or 3 in the whole state that voted to stay in the Union. But guess what you see down there in that county? Rebel flags galore. I mean, they just fell right in line. They don't even know their own history anymore. They've whitewashed it so much that all they see is we were always Confederates, and they were not. Study, read, study some more, okay? All right, the radical left has incubated an environment where political violence is not only justified but celebrated and praised. In July, nearly 24 armed leftists connected to various Texas-based Antifa-like groups ambushed the Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in El Paredo, Texas. That's true, they did. If I'd known about it, I would have been the one standing in the doorway going, get the hell out of here. We don't want you to you don't represent the trans community. You represent some idiotic, stupid beliefs. Leave ICE alone. I'll tell you that, all right? On September the 10th, 2025, a leftist assassin connected to the radical transgender movement murdered Charlie Kirk because of Kirk's bold support for truth, love of country, and unshakable faith. The only part to that is correct. He loved the country and he had an unshakable faith, but he had no truth. He didn't know the truth. If the truth was what he wanted it to be, to match his beliefs, and it wasn't right. Anyway, but Charlie didn't deserve to be killed. 2 weeks later, another deranged leftist opened fire on an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas. In Dallas, President Donald Trump has officially designated Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, and instructed his administration to utilize all applicable authorities to investigate, disrupt, and dismantle any and all illegal operations, especially those involving terrorist actions conducted by Antifa. Building on President Trump's bold actions, Attorney General Paxton has instructed his office to initiate sweeping investigations into radical leftist organizations engaged in or providing support to those performing political violence. Right there is their Twitter handle. Y'all leave them alone. Don't get all excited about that. You can find them on Facebook and on Twitter. Yeah. These people are dumb as buckets of rocks. And then I mean this part right here seriously. I wrote it. How do I start a leftist leftist trans terror organization in your state? Do I sign up with you? Can you take my information and connect me with like-minded Americans in Texas? All the best. Big from Kentucky. I don't know what I meant by that. Oh, I was supposed to put big hugs. I left the hugs part out. Oh, well. There's my email address. There's my website. And there's the page. Okay, so there's been no view. Let me just refresh this page. Let's see if anyone has actually responded to that. Let's. Okie dokie, folks. Let's go down the bottom down here and see what it says, if anything. Probably nothing. Well, there's been 7 views. What's the benefit of announcing it? Good grief. Jenny, to instill fear, of course. It's designed to instill fear, anxiety, A-N-X-I-E-T, anxiety, and trepidation. And that's trepidation. Let's see. Trepidation and gnashing of teeth. K-N-A-S-H-I, gnashing of teeth. You know, good old biblical fear. E-L-I-C-A, biblical fear, as long as it's a Bible that was actually corrected in the past 100 years, not the one's original. And let me see if I can spell trepidation correctly. I didn't do it. It's supposed to be an I. Okay. All right. It's designed to instill fear, anxiety, trepidation, and gnashing. Starts with a G. I knew that. I did. Let me see. What else? He knows it's a made-up problem. So, shouting it into the wind, shouting it into the wind accomplishes political objectives. Accomplishes his P-O-L-I-T-I, political objective of further dehumanizing transgender, his fellow Americans who happen to be trans, his fellow Americans, A-M-E-R-I, Americans and Texans, Americans and Texans, who happen to be trans. Let me correct political up here. I've got these nails. I'm trying to figure out how to deal with all these nails. They don't always work the way I want them to work. Anyway, so whatever. So let me stick my little thing on here. And let me go with this terrorist thing up here. Where's another good thing? Desktop documents, downloads right there. Let's go to downloads. And I'm going to stick this one up on the top. That one. And I've got another one over here too. You'll get to see this one too. And this one. Here we go, folks. These are the ones. There's me standing in the doorway, blocking these people from being stupid idiots and getting their goals accomplished because I'm going to unload on them. And I don't ask anyone else to do so, and I ask you to be nonviolent about it. Yes, be prepared for a good fight. Yes, speak truth to power. And by that, I mean, stop denying your genetic sex. Trans people, you know your genetic sex, your chromosomal sex is not your gender. So stop saying that you're the same from one to the other. You know that you're not. We also know that we can change our biology because I take a lot of hormones to be me. I don't, well, actually, let me rephrase that. I used to. I don't anymore. I don't need to. I'm there. I've corrected the biological mistakes that were made and fixed those so that my anatomy matches my gender, my hormones match my gender. My voice, I don't care one way or the other. Whatever you want to do with that, you can. I love using that sometimes because I get to go around saying, oh, it's just that Marine Corps voice. You know, we'll just have to deal with it for now. And I do. But stop running from the realities of who we are, folks. Stop running from it. Yes, there's plenty of variability in our X's and our Y's, in our chromosomes. Yes, there are. 1950s version would say something like, oh, you're just an XY male. And I said, yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. I take it that you're actually talking about chromosomal sex, because that's a true statement. We don't know yet how to use CRISPR to change that, and when we do, I hope to be able to do it. But I would if I could, but it's not there yet. I've changed everything else about my anatomy to match it, make it match, and you don't even have to do that. By the way, there are going to be people on here who are looking at me going, "There's no biological essentialism in this." I know there's not. You can do whatever you wish, but don't run from your truth. That's why we are here today. Don't run from somebody who is being in this community, who is being an idiot somewhere, as a trans person who's throwing rocks at ice or doing any of those kind of things. Because if you know it and you let it go, you don't put your hand up to stop it, you're basically enabling the right side, like Paxton, to put a target on the entire community. All 1.5 million of us in the United States, because of one person, one trans person picks up a rock and throws it somewhere and hits a police vehicle or harms an ICE agent. If you don't stop it and you're there with them, well, you need to figure out what it is you're actually supporting, because right now we do not support violence. We do not support that. Get into good trouble, like John Lewis said when he was marching across that bridge in Selma, Alabama. Never been there? You got to go there. It's really very powerful experience to go to Selma. Selma is a rundown little town. It's got a lot of problems. But that's where John Lewis marched from to Montgomery, along with Martin Luther King. And whenever John Lewis says, just a little good trouble is what you need, that's a serious statement. It means that you're going to put up with violence committed against yourself in order to protect the entire community as much as possible. Now, don't sit there and take a beating or anything like that. Don't let stupid people beat up on you. But also speak your truth. Don't be afraid of it. When people challenge you, then they tell me all the time over here on Twitter, they'll go, "You're just a man." I said, well, are we talking about chromosomal sex? Which one are you talking about? Chromosomal sex, anatomical sex? Are you talking about gender, gender identity, gender expression? Which one are you talking about? And they typically would go back to, well, God only created a man and a woman. I'm going, and my response to that is, no, he didn't. When's the last time you actually know somebody who was born with ambiguous or undefined genitalia? And they would have chromosomes that were either XX or XY. And it's determined at birth that they didn't have any of these other characteristics that the rest of humanity had. No, God had nothing to do with it, y'all. Nothing. That human variability keeps us all from looking exactly like Adam and Eve, if you believe in that. Thank God we don't there's not 6,000 years worth of Adams and Eves all identical running around on this planet, because, if genetic variability had not been there from the beginning, and I'm talking about not that 6,000 years or so, because that is not a true story. That is just a fable and a freaking myth. It's almost as good as Ender's Game, or by Orson Scott Card. My God, I've talked for an hour. Who let me do this? Anyway, remember to stand up, speak your truth, okay? Remember to do that. And remember, this is what we're fighting against. Down in Miami, Ron DeSanctimonious removed this from Delray Beach, a section down there. Removed that beautiful piece of work right there. Removed it. And left in its place a god-awful, tarmac-colored, tore-up section of road that has no color, no reference, nothing at all that makes it a beautiful and welcoming place. Tore it up. And they wanted to know what I thought about it. Well, that's a whole other story, and it is going on an hour. My God, I can talk. Junior. Pink waving. Oh, hands. What does that say? Hands pink waving. Okay. My mother said to me that after she found out about me having ambiguous genitalia when bored, there are more things than health, heaven and earth, and you are one of God's miracles. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing positive can be ascertained using trans terms. We are dirtbags to radical Christians. Yeah, well, we're just going to have to go ahead and put it out. I mean, I'm running out of options. All that to say that Matt Walsh is a bullshitter. Yeah, that he is. But he believes his bullshit, folks. He firmly believes it. Yes, he does. Matt Walsh believes it. He thinks he's so right. As a matter of fact, he's one of those pushing for trans people to be rounded up. It didn't take him an hour to come out and go after all the trans people out there saying they needed to be removed and collected and put into insane asylums because they're the problem. Matt is full